Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be talking about the basic functions and anatomy of the body's computer, the brain. Some goals for this channel are to explain anatomy and make medical terminology understandable. The brain is very complex, so I try to make this as easy as possible. Let's get started. So we know that the brain is the central organ of the human nervous system that controls most of the body's functions, activities, and interprets information. It weighs about 3 pounds and is protected by the skull. The brain contains 86 billion neurons, which are nerve cells, and they're referred to as gray matter. It also contains billions of axons and dendrites, which are nerve fibers, and they're referred as white matter. The human brain has 3 parts: the cerebellum, the brainstem, and the cerebellum. As you see here, you have your cerebellum, which is the yellow. Your ventricles are the blue. We'll talk about those later. You have your cerebellum, which is the green, and you have your brainstem, which is the purple. So the first major part of the brain we're going to talk about is the cerebellum. This is the largest part of the human brain, making up 85% of the brain's weight. It has 2 cerebral hemispheres. The outer layer is made of gray matter, which we said before were nerve cells, and this is called the cerebral cortex. Beneath the cerebral cortex is white matter, which we said before were nerve fibers. Each hemisphere is divided into 4 lobes: your frontal lobe, your parietal lobe, your occipital lobe, and your temporal lobe. Images so you can get where I'm talking about. This is your frontal lobe, this is your temporal lobe, this is your parietal lobe, and this is your occipital lobe. Your cerebellum also contains your ventricles. The ventricles is where cerebral spinal fluid is produced and circulated. Cerebral spinal fluid is clear and protects the brain. As you can see in this image, the blue is your cerebral spinal fluid. There are 2 lateral ventricles, a 3rd ventricle, and a 4th ventricle. As you can see in this picture, this is a bird's eye view of your ventricles. You have your 2 lateral, your 3rd ventricle, which is the blue, and your 4th ventricle, which is the green. This is a side view. You have your red for your lateral ventricles, you have your blue for your 3rd ventricle, and your green for your 4th ventricle. We're going to talk about your brainstem. This lies beneath your cerebellum in the back of your skull. Your brainstem has 3 parts: the midbrain, pons, and the medulla. The midbrain is associated with vision, hearing, motor skills, whether you are asleep or awake, your alertness, and your body temperature regulation. The pons controls breathing, communications within the brain, and sensations like hearing, taste, and balance. The medulla helps regulate breathing, heart and blood vessel functions, digestion, sneezing, and swallowing. The brainstem continues into the spinal cord. The brainstem also contains many nuclei that regulate many processes like breathing, eye movements, and balance. Main nerve tracts that transmit information from the brain throughout the body pass through here. In this image, you can have an idea where your brainstem is. So you have your midbrain, your pons, and your medulla. Now we're going to talk about the cerebellum. This is divided into 3 lobes, and each lobe is connected by something called the vermis. You have your anterior, your posterior, and your flocculonodular lobes. Your anterior lobe plays a role in coordination and motor movements. Your posterior balances cognitive, which is the process of thinking, behavior, and motor functions, which is movement. Your flocculonodular lobe balances your equilibrium, which is your balance and muscle tone. So your equilibrium is kind of like when you get dizzy or intoxicated, that throws off your equilibrium. Here's an image so you can get an idea of where everything is. This is your anterior lobes, this is your flocculonodular lobes, and this is your posterior lobes. This little section right here where it's divided is called the vermis. In summary, the human brain is very complex. It is divided into multiple parts, and many areas control similar functions. If you would like for me to talk about a specific topic, comment below. If you enjoyed this video or any of my other videos, don't forget to subscribe and follow my Instagram. Thanks for watching.